We are live. Can you hear me, Brian?
I most certainly can, my friend. Yes.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. I had to step out and come back in. My brother was calling me.
No
Alan,
way.
man, why you calling me at you know I got things to do.
Is there a way that I can shut that off, or because I don't want to interrupt anything either?
Nah, you should just be able to slide.
Okay.
Like if somebody calls you, you just slide that through.
Oh, okay.
Before we get the show started, let me shout out my sponsor real quick.
Sounds good.
Lehigh Vape, 822 Nazareth Pike. Go there for all your vaping essential needs. They have juices, hardware. That's where I go for all my vaping stuff. Again, that's Lehigh Vape, 822 Nazareth Pike. I'm spitting with Spitter. It's Wednesday night. Hold on a second, man. This is my brother chiming in, making sure you're up. Sorry, I care.
Sounds good.
Shout out to my brother because he know my sleep schedule be wild. Like I barely get any good sleep.
Because you're a hard worker, my friend. That's why.
Listen, I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, there you go. It's a good way to start. It's a good way to start, my friend.
And we're gonna start with the introduction. One of the coldest players I've seen on the court. Coldest. They used to call you the White Mamba back in the day.
That's way too flattering, my friend.
I'm gonna start with my guest is Brian Brennan. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, TJ. How are you, my friend?
I'm happy, bro. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad all is well.
Right back at you, my friend. Glad you thought of me. I was blown away when I got the message. I said, goodness.
Yeah, you're my guy.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime. Would love to chop it up.
Absolutely. We talk about all kinds of things, but I want to start. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember how me and you first met?
Oh gosh, man, you're trying to play with my mind. I'm 45 years old. No, I don't remember how I got up yesterday, TJ.
We're in Clyde's barbershop.
Oh, legendary, legend! Shout out Clyde, shout out Boogie, the whole
yes,
legendary. Out in Arizona, shout out Noonie because Noonie used to get it done at Clyde's.
Shout out Noonie, shout out E.
Yeah, my fault. E too. My bad. E. No malicious intent, my friend.
So I'm in the barber chair, and you're sitting next to me getting a cut, talking about basketball.
Shocker.
And right. And you're jumping off the ledge saying there ain't no good ballers to come out of Phillipsburg.
Oh, gosh, I'm embarrassed. And if my dad's watching this, obviously my family discluded. And you know what? Chris Galini, and I apologize for making that comment because I can give you 100 good ballers from Petersburg. I must have been irritated about some Petersburg people that day.
I think you was in your bag for sure. And I'm thinking of my stuff, and I never seen you play. I had no idea who you were.
Yeah.
I'm like, So I asked you, I'm like, who are you? False. Bad decision. But ever since then, we've been nothing but cool, respectful, humble.
No, and I want to apologize for all my Phillipsburg contingent because I don't know what happened that day. Somebody irritated me from Petersburg, but I got plenty of people I can throw on the board that can go.
Most definitely.
You included, and Tarpey. I know Tarpey might actually be listening to this, and
for sure,
probably one of the. And I was blessed enough to be around a lot of hoopers. Probably a top 5 shooter, period, I've ever seen play the game.
He is an ice box, bro. For real.
In any environment, you take him anywhere you want, up and down the East Coast, out to Hawaii, and to the greater European, connection. He gets buckets everywhere.
I was just talking to him. It was like he would kill in Puerto Rico, kill in Florida, kill in the prisons.
Yeah. Well, I used to go into the prisons and play. I'm not sure if Tarp was with us, but we used to go into Northampton County and play with the inmates. I don't even know if they do that anymore. But I know Tarpey was doing like a tour. He was going into all sorts of prisons and giving a message, I think, and doing all that good stuff, man, being the superstar that he is. But it's not a lot of environments like playing in the prison. I'll keep it 100.
Different.
100%.
Different. I mean, now let's start with, you and your upbringing and where this passion came from for the game.
Well, you know what? I kind of got, indoctrinated by osmosis because my father was a coach my whole life. So when I was born, my father was coaching at Villanova with Rolly Massimino, 1975. And then, he had originally started there and then went to Seton Hall with Bill Raftery. Everybody knows Bill Raftery. He does all the games. So my dad was with him at Seton Hall. And then, William and Mary, whatever, bounced around. So I was blessed because I just got born into a basketball family. My Aunt Noreen's all-time leading scorer at All Saints Regional. I'm not even sure if it's still around. I know that they were talking about closing it. My father was the all-time leading scorer until Brian Tipton broke his record, who's a monster that I was.
Shout out to Brian Tipton.
Listen, let me do this. For whatever disgruntled situation I was in Clyde's, you may not know anybody less yourself that has more P-Burg basketball knowledge than I do. So it was actually a good take at the time, depending on how mad I was and who I was mad at. But who anybody throwing up Brian Tipton on the Spittin with Spitter? I wouldn't guess. But shout out to his law firm and what all he's doing right now. But I'll tell you a great story about that later on. But Brian was there, and so he broke my dad's record. I'm not sure if he got my Aunt Noreen. I think he might have. So I had my Aunt Noreen that played at Virginia Tech, all-time leading scorer at P-Burg Catholic. My father was when he left. My Uncle Jimmy went on to coach with Jay Wright at Villanova, won a national championship there. So I kind of was born into it, and then with a mother that worked, with the hardest working mother in life, she was just never took a sick day, just an amazing example of everything you should be as a parent. And so with that being said, she had a 9-to-5. And so a lot of my life was on my dad's hip at practice, sitting there. And it wasn't like they could just hand me an iPad, I didn't have a lot of options, So I went in there and so my love for it just came by being brought up by a father that was amazingly exemplifying the right things to do all the time. And so he coached at places where you had to have high academic standards. And so I just fell in love with it, by being there with him all the time.
That's, shout outs to your parents. That's amazing.
Thank you, man. I got the blueprint. I didn't follow it all the time, but I couldn't have had two better people set the example for me and what I should be doing.
For those who don't know who your father is, who is your dad?
So my father is he was the former coach at many places. We'll just go at the end. He finished up his last 20 years coaching at the University of Vermont. Brought them their first NCAA tournament bid. Ended up following that up with 2 more, so they went to 3 straight. And the third culminating in a win against Syracuse in the 2005 NCAA tournament, one of the greatest wins in tournament history. I mean, unfortunately, other teams have made upsets since then. So some obviously UMBC had a pretty big one over one. So, but the same league. So big ups America East. So my father was the coach at. He started at Villanova, went to Seton Hall. He started as a grad assistant at Georgia. Then went Villanova, Seton Hall. Fairleigh Dickinson in there. He was a baseball coach and a basketball coach at the Division III Fairleigh Dickinson. Then went to William and Mary, and then was blessed enough to get the job at Yale. And I don't want to jump out the window, TJ, but I think he got the job at Yale at 32. And I don't know how old you are. I'm 45, and I couldn't imagine coaching at Yale right now. You know what I mean? Like just the intelligence of those children and the athleticism and how great the Ivy League is. I couldn't imagine at 32 years old being ready to do that.
Nah, for sure. I'm 41, and I couldn't imagine.
Me neither. So then he got the job at Vermont and started out. This is a really neat thing. When he got the job, he went up on his interview to talk to the guys at Vermont, and he came back, and his athletic director at Yale was Frank Ryan. And the only reason why you'll know who that is because he was Jim Brown's quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And so that was his AD at Yale. And he said to the guy who was trying to obviously generate more revenue for the Brennan family and said, look, I got offered the job at Vermont. And he said, you should take it. And so my dad knew where he stood with Yale. And so took the job at Vermont. At one point there, they were the dead last worst team in all of Division I. So they were 326 out of 326. And so He just kept trugging along and getting the right kids, because you have to have great grades to get into Vermont. And so he finally turned the corner there, and now they got the court named after him. So it was really neat to watch, because I watched him be the dead last worst team in the whole country, and then I watched him beat Syracuse in the NCAA tournament. So it was a lot of fun.
That's fire. We got some people chiming in. Chris Van said EJ Tarpey is the best shooter he's ever seen.
Period. That's fine.
Period.
Not sure where he's from, but I told you top 5, and I've seen some good shooters.
EJ Tarp chiming in said his dad is the P-Bird GOAT.
Oh gosh, Tarp, he would have been a tough matchup for a lot of people, but you would have outshot him. I'm telling you, I've been with both you guys, Tarp. You were a shooter, my friend.
Me and Tarp go back and forth, and I've never seen nothing like it.
Yeah, very few have, especially so I've only seen Tarp in a summer league setting.
Right.
I can't imagine him anywhere else. I can't imagine him on a high school team where he had everything around him. I just couldn't even imagine, because I watched him in summer league where he was the type of person that it looked personal the way he would give out work. You know what I mean? Like you knew something, and he's like, you know what? I got something for all that. And very few people,
sure.
I've been blessed to play in a lot of places. Very few people in my life have been as dominant in the summer league setting. Like that's all I've seen as Tarp.
Yo, you're 100% factual with that. I'm not going to lie. Where'd you start playing? Now, I'm going to ask you some generic questions like I know the answers to, but where'd you start playing ball at?
Well, so I grew up in where I can really remember a lot of my background hooping was in Williamsburg, Virginia. We used to play against Allen Iverson, Bubba Chuck, who was in Hampton Bethel, and they had a kid named Tony Battie and Tony Rutland, who was the point guard with Randolph Childress at Wake Forest.
Right.
So I grew up like playing AAU, and AAU back in the day was so much different. There wasn't divisions, and you got the best group from your area, and you went and rocked with everybody, and you tried to see what was really popping. So I got a chance to get destroyed by their crew, because Hampton Bethel and TJ, I don't know if you have any idea. I'm blessed enough to be coaching in an area where basketball is pretty crazy, but that Hampton Tidewater area, Michael Vick, Ronald Curry, both Ronald Curry. There's a guy named Terry Kirby that's my age that played tailback at Virginia, but he played basketball at Virginia too. He was like the National Player of the Year in both sports, and he played at TAB in the same league where I grew up. And so I started, where I can really remember. Obviously I played with a father that was a coach, so a lot of times I did a lot of my stuff in the gyms where he was coaching.
Right.
So I didn't really, but I'll say this to my dad, he was so amazing in my upbringing, because he didn't care 1 second if I could make a jumper. He said to me, and I don't know about language on here, but he said, listen, I don't care what you do, just don't be an asshole. So it's simple as that. Whatever you do in your life, I'm going to support you in every endeavor. Just don't be an ass. And it took me a long time to figure that out.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I really was for a long time, man. And now I'm really, really so blessed to be able to give a lot back, because I get a chance to coach high school basketball. And so for me, like I said to you before at the beginning, I just was so blessed to have two parents that were just so amazing in showing me the right way. I just didn't follow their directions a lot of the time.
Everything is you're either learning or you're not. What I mean?
Fair enough.
It's either a lesson or it's not, or it'll become one, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And I have these conversations with all my hoop guys. This where I'm at right now, like where I'm at. This is not necessarily a hoop area.
Yeah,
we have some good ballers in the area, but it's not like going to the Kingdom in Harlem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm telling you like this, T. I've been around. There ain't nothing like where I'm at. The DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and you can slide Baltimore in that. And man, I get a chance to coach in the WCAC, man, and I'm telling you on a daily basis, you don't see kids go like this. We got Terrence Roderick. We got we got kids that can play. We got bits and pieces. But down here, it's 7 days a week. You know what I mean? 7 days a week they're giving out work. So, it's a lot of fun.
I love the fact that, you're a hooper at heart. So you went right to the hoop haven. Yes. I love it.
Well, I tell you what, man, the guy that I started working for, when I was doing clinics and basketball workouts and stuff, when I got down here, I got blessed to put together with somebody that's been connected. And he asked me to coach. And at the time, I just coaching girls basketball, I just didn't know how much it would keep me, intrigued, involved. I don't know what the word interested. And so, but coaching the best, I'm blessed. I coach the best kids in the country. We've won a national championship. We've been in the national championship and lost. So when he asked, I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. And I'll be honest with you, TJ, I don't know if I'll coach boys again. You know what I mean? Like, no? I have friends that are college basketball coaches, and obviously if that opportunity presented itself, I'd be blessed and I would have to look at that. But coaching girls, man, it's just, they just listen so much different. It's just, as long as you have the knowledge, they will run through a wall for you. If you can give them the information, which is what they want, that's all they're looking for.
I've heard the comparison between boys and girls. There's no ego with the girls.
And I got a chance to coach the greatest girls player ever, arguably. There's people that will argue that with, she's going to UConn next year.
And who's that for the people that are watching?
So I got a chance to coach a young lady by the name of AZ Fudd. She was the #1 ranked girls player from the second she walked in our school to the second she walked out. And there's never been a more humble superstar in the world. There's no way, because I was around her and there was not a egotistical bone in her body. She's the hardest working kid ever. And I'm telling you, there's no way they could put the things they put in front of this young lady for a boy or a young man maturing into being a man, that they just couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. I mean, this girl was, she was on ESPN. She was top story in ESPN. She was the first girl ever to play at a boys camp, Steph Curry's camp. The stuff she's done, she set records in everything she's done. She's just
several magazine covers.
So, and let's do this. Not only that, but she brings our secretaries presents on the holidays. When she went to UConn for her visit, she brought me back a T-shirt.
Right.
Like she thinks outside like what normal 17-year-old children think like. She's just, and I'm saying that to say she is it, my friend. Let me sit up.
Lights out like that.
So her freshman year, she should have been National Player of the Year. She got completely screwed because she was a freshman, and they don't do that. She was the best defensive player in the country. I'm talking about Haley Jones, just won a national championship at Stanford, locked her up, held her to 9. I could go down. There's a girl from Indiana. I'm not sure her name. She was first team all Big Ten. Might have been the Big Ten. No, because Ashley Owusu was the player of the year, but held her. She was averaging 30 a game, held her to 4. So, did stuff that, and that's defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, she got 25 a night, and she shot, hold on, this is the craziest thing I've ever experienced as a basketball player or a coach. She shot 50, 90.
That's why. That's why.
From the field. She shot 50% from the 3, 90% from the foul line. Hold on. With 109 makes from the 3.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about Paige. Paige is the
best
truth.
Friends. They're best friends. So how about this? How crazy is this, TJ? Paige and her won a gold medal in Belarus. AZ's freshman year, Paige's sophomore year in Minnesota in high school.
Right.
Then Paige was going to transfer, and I could be off a year because they won 2 gold medals together. Paige was supposed to transfer to St. John's, live with AZ, and play with us for her junior and senior year because her parents challenged her and have play against the best kids in the country. And going into the summer, her dad called us. She came in for a visit, and she went through the whole process of, being a cadet. And her dad called then, because obviously you all know, anybody that's watched the game of basketball knows Paige is a silverback gorilla.
My God.
And when you see her next year with the silverback gorilla that's coming in, it's going to absolutely blow your mind. What they're going to do for women's college basketball is going to blow your mind. When she came, anytime she had off, she would fly in and she would work out with us until we had games and stuff. She came down the court, TJ, and the first time I saw her play, they were telling me, they were raving about her. This kid, Paige Beckers, and I'm like, okay, I get a chance to watch an alien every day. So
yeah, for sure.
So how much different can it be? We're doing this full court drill, and we got these football pads at St. John's. We got these blocking pads. Are but I tell you, we grab them by the side and we try and knock our kids' blocks off. We really do. We try and get them to fight through. Our practices are like a men's practice. It's not girls basketball. We don't coach girls basketball. We coach basketball. And so our kids, they just go through a rigorous training that's different than everybody else. It's just different. So is Paige. So she's coming down, right? And we're doing this, the UConn, I think it was Arizona State. We're doing one of these drills, and it's a fast break drill where you go down one side and you score, and then you release as you come through, and they throw it ahead. They skip it ahead, and then you come in for a layup. And I'm down there with the pad. I'm trying to knock that hat off your head. That's what I'm trying to do with this pad, right?
I'm not mad at it.
So she comes in, she goes up with the right. I hit her like all midsection as hard as I can. She comes down, cradles it, and spins it on the other side. And one of our trainers, Coach Smith, shout out Coach Smith for St. John's training crew, said, "Goodness gracious, Coach, what was that?" And I said, "I'm still trying to figure it out." You know what I mean? And so from that point, I was like, oh. Now Gino, when he was recruiting AZ, Coach Oriema said, and it's so neat to watch how all this stuff came to fruition, everything he talked about, because we talked about it after her sophomore year. He said she is the closest thing to Diana Taurasi I've ever seen. And I would say Taurasi, greatest, arguably, women's player ever. I think she's the all-time leading scorer in the WNBA.
She is.
But I think that's one of the neatest things I've ever heard, getting a chance to see a kid as a sophomore in high school and having the greatest human ever to coach women's basketball. Shout out Pat Summitt, amazing, but she just didn't have Gino. She didn't have the longevity and the wins. You know what I mean? Gino, a whole different kind of, can of paint. And so to hear him talk about her like that, and then when her and AZ would play, it was like she didn't. Like, everybody around here is just in awe of AZ. I don't care how good you are. She's just a different. She's just cut differently from anything that you would ever see. Paige is the same way. And when Paige came in this year, and it's funny, my father-in-law, who's downstairs, loves women's basketball, and now that our relationship is what it is, and he lives with us, and so he went to see AZ play, and he was just blown away. Like, everybody, like, she's out before the game, and she's doing stuff that is never seen. I've never seen it. Like, she just don't miss. She'll go 3 or 4 spots. She make 10 in a row, 10 in a row, 10 in a row. Like, I don't see people shoot like that. I mean, I can shoot it. I feel pretty confident in my skill set. Never seen anything like this. And so he's 91, going to be 92 in August. So he's seen a lot. And he sat like basically right at our bench, and he just looked at me and he was like, "Woo." I was like, "Yeah, yes, Papa Bowles, woo. It is woo." And so when Paige was coming in, I said, he loves UConn women's basketball. And I said, "Papa Bowles, I can't wait for you to see this young lady that's coming in. It's AZ's best friend. And she will, I promise, will be worth the price of admission when you watch her." And the first time he watched her, he was blown away. I mean, God, she is just so special. And all those kids at UConn are special. But
Right.
Gino has an interesting way of pulling people out and doing what he does. So they're not terribly deep. You know, they'll be 6 deep. And with TV timeouts, Gino will rock out with 5 people. I'm like, all right, we got the TV timeout coming. I'm not worried about playing anybody else. And so Paige, when she gets with AZ in there, and they got I think DeBerry will be coming in. There's a kid, an athlete that I saw a female dunk it with 2 hands, which I just don't see ever. You know, if you're not, this kid's like 6'1", she's not 6'7", like Brittany Griner or, you know, those girls. So I can't wait to watch her.
Another beast.
Yeah. So I promise, mark it down. Whoever's watching, UConn for the next 4 years is going to be worth the price of admission every time you watch.
I know AZ is an assassin. I've seen numerous clips. Paige is different.
Yeah.
Paige is different.
Yeah. If Paige makes the commitment that AZ makes defensively, I'm going to promise you they're not going to lose and they'll be a national champion next year. That's stamped.
We're going to revisit this come March.
Go to the bank, get out whatever you want to win, and go to whatever. Everything's open now with gambling, so go wherever you can go gamble and put that in. Mark that down. That's a done deal.
Now, you've been around hoops for a long time.
I have.
Who were the toughest players that you had to play against coming up? We'll start in high school.
Wow, that's a great question, man. You're gonna have me shucking. Obviously, Antoine Hubbard was absolutely, if not the greatest player I ever saw in our area. He's, you know, Pete Lisicki. I mean, Fitz is my guy because he's
absolutely my guy as well.
My closest friend. But I'll say that coming up, there's a lot of people. Terrence Billman was a handful, man. Cedric Fears was a handful coming up. You know, Chris Galini, I can go through all those, you know, those times I said Eric Lepper was tough, you know. Who else was on that Peaburg team that was a handful? There was a shooter, man. I can't think of his name, had a box haircut. I'll think of it in a second.
Travis Crozier
was a handful. And he wore 30. I'm more about numbers. I know numbers.
You're right.
Who was in? It was Galini, Crozier, Lepper, and there was another shooter. It was on a Chris McGovero.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, hold on, I lost you. We back?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. Man, coming up, Scott Ransom was a lot, man. Scott Ransom, Rich Harris, those guys all made me better, man. They were grown men, and I was
Ransom was a handful.
I was so weak. Ron Lacey, I was so weak and scrawny, and so I learned so much from those guys, man. I just learned so much. Lonnie Pintande was fun to play against. I'm trying to think of all the people in our summer. Jules Roderick, that whole crew, you know what I mean? Chris Mason, Wayne Thomas coming up. Brian Brunerben. I don't even know if you know that name. Brian Brunerben was a handful. And they had another kid that went and played tight end at North Carolina that was a beast, 6'6". They beat us in the district semifinals. And I was devastated, but they were just hard-nosed football guys and just beat me up. They just, you know, let me stop. Art Perryman, Kevin Smiley, Shaif Saunders, Kevin Gardner, Mike Long, Oopie Talbert. Those kids at East Stroudsburg was me and Joe Smith and Ed Guffey and Odell Thedford and Justin Christine and Chris Bonzo. That was our battle. So I got to shout them out. They ended up beating Lisicki and them the next year after I left. They beat them at what's Lafayette's gym? They beat them at Coalfield. Is it Coalfield House?
Yeah.
They beat them Kirby. I'm sorry, Kirby.
Kirby Fieldhouse.
Yeah. They beat them at Kirby. Art Perryman, God rest his soul, was one of the greatest players I've ever seen, man. Kevin Smiley, that backcourt was crazy. But we had a different because we had Pocono Mountain in our league, and Pocono Mountain hadn't split. So Pocono Mountain was one school. East Stroudsburg was one school. Stroudsburg was one school. So, Mark Dudley was a handful. Goodness gracious, ended up playing at Kutztown.
Who?
Shahada Rockman was a handful coming up. Ray Barboza was, those guys were younger than me, but I came up playing against all them in the, Heritage Day and all that. So shout out to all those guys from Allentown, man. They were a handful, man.
Ray is tough.
I was blessed because I lived in Laurel when Ray and Jay Green, when Ray Barboza transferred to UMBC with Cavell Johnson, I was in Laurel. So I went to see probably 20 of their games his senior year when they won the America East and went on to the NCAA tournament. So Ray's one of my closest friends. I'm so proud of him, what he's doing as an executive and to me, and it's just amazing what they've been doing since it started, since the doors opened up, man. They've been getting it done.
For sure.
And then I'll say, Kawan Rudolph, was a handful, man. Him and Terrence Roderick coming up, man. I used to really mentor those kids and took a lot. Chad Lilly was a monster.
I tell people this all the time. Chad is a different type of dog, man. He's a different type of dog.
Chad, if I wish I could have had Chad with me more. I was just a little bit older. I was kind of out of his league, as far as like spending time where I just was out at school and I was trying to get him out to Clarion. I thought he would have been great in the PSAC. But I mean, that whole crew, man, Kawan Rudolph, Terrence, Chad, it was just a lot of fun, man. We used to battle. Fairview was it, man. We used to have so many good runs, man.
Fairview was?
And Albert Gale. I want to shout out Albert Gale. Albert Gale used to have one of the funnest games to watch because he was like a power forward. You know how big Albert is. And he used to be rebounding and I mean, we used to have so much fun at Fairview, man. I don't know how it is now, but we used to get it popping.
I'm gonna tell you like this. That's where the Clyde's barbershop talk led us.
Okay.
Your closing statement was, if you want to bring some popcorn to Fairview and catch this work, by all means.
Oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed, but I do stand by it.
No, I'm not saying that to embarrass you because that shit that you had on your shoulder was legitimate. and listen, I've seen so many great hoopers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not too many people like wow me. You know what I mean? Like they have that, you wowed me. You know what I mean? For sure.
You're gonna make me blush. You're gonna make me blush on your show.
See that? I had this conversation, like me and Tarp had this conversation on fair last week. Ain't too many. Like there's right probably around the time I was talking crap to Tarp saying my jump shot was better. I could dream,
Obviously. And you know what? If you don't play, it doesn't matter.
Right. So now you're a coach, you're a hooper.
I am.
You're a father.
I am. Most importantly, greatest job on the planet. Greatest job
How do you keep that even keel? And what's your time management look like to where you can suit up and show up for all the above?
So first and foremost, that's a great question, TJ. First and foremost, when I decided to take the job at St. John's, at the time I was single. I wasn't in a relationship of any sort. And so my son was basically like my wife. Anything I wanted to run, or anything I wanted to do, I ran by him because I have him all summer. He lives in Easton with Rochelle, his mom, Rochelle Gilbert, who's a trainer at Easton High School. And so when I was blown away by the opportunity, and my boy Jonathan Scribner said, I would love for you to come and help me out. And I said, that's awesome. Let me talk to my son because that's the time. He's the one that the time is getting taken away from. So I said, my son, Caleb Brennan, who ran track at Easton this year and is a senior, going to be going to Temple. Super excited for him. Go Owls.
Shout out.
No doubt. I said to him, listen, I got this really cool opportunity, but it's going to cut into our time. And so I just want you to understand, I have no problem not doing it. You are my number one priority. and at the time, and so I'm all in with if you don't want me to do it. He said, "Are you kidding me, Dad? No, go do you." And so, I got that, and it works out where I don't do any AAU stuff because
Right.
with my son, I was like, I'm going to have him all summer. So, but at St. John's, it's basically like a college program. So we got all sorts of training and, all sorts of stuff throughout the year. But I just said to them, like, once I get to the summer, that's got to be for me.
Right.
So that was how it all started. And, having a son when at the time he's 18. And so it didn't matter. Like when I had him with me, he could stay at the house or, he's very independent. In DC, there's a lot of traveling you can do and you can go visit friends and get on the metro and stuff. So he would do that. And we would just, meet back up at the house, at the time when he was coming up. And then moving forward to being so over the moon blessed to have met my wife. And when I met her, like the first day I met her, we went out to dinner, and I was like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person.
On the first day.
First day, and you know me, T, I'm not that guy.
I was just going to say now.
Never been that guy. And so I went out to dinner with her, hung out, and I said on the way I was Ubering home, and I was saying to myself, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with that person. And from that day on June 17th until we got married in November, I've been with her every single day of my life. And from that point, we were lucky enough. We went through a tragedy. Her mom, God rest her soul, Candy Oles, passed away in December, and we found out she was pregnant in January. And it's just been the greatest blessing in the world. And now, to be honest with you, TJ, I don't know how it works right now because it was a pandemic when we had them. So there wasn't, we kind of had a season, kind of didn't have a season. We had to practice, our school is in DC. We had to practice in Virginia because Mayor Bowser didn't open up the city, which I never have a problem with. I do feel like these kids need this outlet. And if there's any way that these kids can be playing, not now because vaccines are happening and all that stuff, but at the time, I felt like if you felt like you were going to get sick or it could compromise you, then you need to stay in the house. I didn't feel like kids should be penalized. I thought that, I really felt that it became political, unfortunately, and it became Republicans against the Democrats and just became a shit show. And so it was no fun for anybody. And it just stunk for all these poor seniors because they just got screwed out of a whole year. Some kids were lucky enough to play, but for the most part, they didn't. So this year, having Jordan Thomas, and we had him in August, and so it's just been great because I haven't had any pressure of anything, because my head coach is like, get here when you can get here. And if you can't, it's fine. We understand. Our kids understood. I got there when I could. But my son and my wife take priority over all that stuff. And then now for my job, I just do workouts all the time. And so that's my priority, my son and my wife, and then taking care of that. And then we'll fit in St. John's when I can. So moving forward, at least for the next couple of years, it's going to have to be that. And then, the basketball coaching when I can. I mean, I'm blessed enough I work out with 60 kids a week, depending on the times. And so that's my motivation is trying to help all these kids reach their goals in the free time that I have, because the other free time, my wife and I have a situation where she works Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And so I'm off Monday, Wednesday, and then we just kind of juggle everything. Because really, with the pandemic, I don't know how that stuff. I don't know how the virus works on children. I damn sure don't want to bring home the coronavirus to my baby. I'm fully vaccinated, but I don't know if I can transmit it. I don't know how this stuff works. I don't think anybody knows how it works. That's part of the problem. I don't think so either. So that's part of the problem. So I felt like there's certain things I can do to put myself in the best situation for myself, my father-in-law, who's going to be 92. And then my son and my wife, who works in the medical field, is fully vaccinated. But I don't know what that means, because I still think, that's not,
who's to say you can't get it again? You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I'm just really lucky to be in a situation and in an area where I'm I've been here for a while. I've been at St. John's for a while. So I've been able to, you know, kind of skate through the pandemic with, you know, with the opportunity to help these kids out. It's just a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens with St. John's moving forward. Just depends on, you know, what's moving with my workouts, and then what's going on with, you know, just the childcare, you know, because it's just tough, man. We just don't really know what's going on with it.
We got some comments that I wanted to get to.
Please.
Skirb said, "Great job, B."
Who said that?
Skirbo.
Oh, tell Skirb. My apologies, Skirb. I would have came to you, my friend. Another Cannon. Harry Mora. Cannon. Hold on. Tom Fisher. Super duper Cannon. Anyone on this, or anybody that knows what I'm talking about, your athletic director was one of the baddest men ever to walk Phillipsburg.
You know what? Okay, that's not my guy. We ain't gonna get into it on this show.
Well, so I'm just saying, I'm going by my dad. He played at St. Louis, and my dad just raved about Coach Fisher.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories. Skirb was giving me stories. I've seen him. I've challenged Fish to foul shooting contests, and he smoked my boots. You know, Tarp said, "I'm so impressed by you, Brian."
Tell Tarp I said thank you so much. Right back at you, my friend.
You know, and that's what this is about, man. Like, people all, you know, I've been asked like why I do this. First and foremost, I got tired of making music. I needed something different to keep my mental creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
And secondly is to give my people their flowers while they're still here.
Much appreciated.
9 times out of 10, people, you know, their relationships separate. People have families. They don't talk as much. Said person passes away. You open up Facebook, and then there's a million people expressing their love for the person. I want to do that shit now while I have the chance.
You nailed it. You know what I mean? That's exactly right. No doubt. Shout out R.I.P. Kevin Neely, man. You know, an Easton legend. That passed away. You know, God rest his soul, man. Yeah, you're exact. It's funny you say that because it just doesn't happen.
No,
it doesn't happen, man. There's a book, Tuesdays with Maury. It's a legendary New York bestseller, and it's basically they have the funeral before the guy passes away. He's, you know what I mean, and they do they do all that stuff, and so he gets a chance to be recognized for, you know, for who he is before he passes away. So it's awesome.
And I think that's how it should be.
Agreed, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm here right now. You know, like, listen, it wouldn't be a Spittin' with Spitter if I didn't ask you what's in your playlist.
Wow. So I go back and forth. Obviously, Jay-Z is all over it. J. Cole's I will say that J. Cole's my favorite. So the new album is tremendous.
Fire.
Tremendous, and so shocking that he has features, because that is not what he ever
That's
does.
not his bag.
No. And so I was saying this to my son. We were going to pick up my nephew Brennan from the train station a couple weekends ago, and so Caleb and I were driving down to get him, and we were listening, and I was saying what makes J. Cole so special, like Big Crit, is that they do it all. They're not a one-trick pony. And so the amount, I would never take anything away from any other hip hop artist. Nothing against you, but what these guys do is like different. What Russell Westbrook does. You know what I mean? They do it all. You know what I mean? And so for me, that's why J. Cole is my favorite of all time, because he just does it all. He just does it all.
How'd you feel about the track he has with 21 Savage with the Pharaoh Monch flip?
It's amazing. So again,
fire, right?
I go from one all the way. I don't gotta do anything with it. I'm fine with it from one to the end. 95 South all the way down. So I would say that would his freestyle. Did you hear his freestyle on LA?
The LA Leakers?
What in the world was that?
He was mad. Yeah,
he needs to be more mad and play basketball a little better because he's disrespecting basketball by playing in an African league. And you know what I'm saying? There's really hoopers there's one roster spot that he's taken. So not saying he shouldn't have it, but he needs to be playing better. If you're going to be over there hooping, you got to be getting buckets. Terrence Roderick can take that spot tomorrow and get 15 to 18 a game in that league.
For sure. I think the dopest J. Cole joint for me, I listen to this joint every day.
Mm-hmm.
Return to Simba.
Oh, yeah. All that. I mean, literally, TJ, we could sit here for the next, we'll be going 45 minutes. We can go for the next 45 minutes on J. Cole from,
for sure.
You know, his mixtape, Friday Night Lights, to start it all off, to all the way down all the classics. I mean, just a special, special guy. I'll say this. It breaks my heart to say, and I don't want you to turn off the feed, please. But Khaled's new album with Justin Bieber and 21 Savage, that joint's fire. Justin Timberlake got a joint on this fire. So I don't want to shout out that, and I won't. If you get a chance, it does have some bangers on it.
Listen, on the strength of you, I'll take a glance.
Listen, I want you to go Bieber, Timberlake. That's all.
Because I listened to the Jay-Z and Nas song, and I wasn't impressed.
But it's a classic because it's those two together after what they've been through, and
for sure, all that. I get it.
But still
I understand.
Not their best stuff.
I understand.
And then he's got stuff. So my thing is this, and T, you're a legend, music legend. So you understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my friend. I don't have as much respect for beats when you have something already there. He's using a couple, make the song cry. He uses stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Wayne's got a cut with Jeremiah on it that's fire, but it loses its luster to me because you're sampling stuff.
Right.
What we grew up on, there was sampling, but not as much as it is now.
It's straight biting now. You're taking the whole song.
Yeah, 100%.
Like what did it with Khaled for me is he put out the Rihanna song, that Wild Thought song, and it was the Carlos Santana sample. I said, you know what? I'm over this dude.
So you're exactly right. That was disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. Is for the song it is what it is. Don't disrespect Carlos Santana like that.
Yeah, agreed. Legend. Legend.
Yo, for real. Who are your top? Well, I'm getting right to the shits now.
Okay.
Who are your top 5 hoopers to come out of the Valley?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm putting, because he's my mans in them, I'm putting Terrence Fitzpatrick at 1. I'm going to go. Now, has it got to be people I played against?
No, not necessarily.
Well, then I got to slide. Fitz is 1 because that's my man's in them. Billy McCaffrey will be 2. Pete Lasicki will be 3. And I'm going because I saw these guys and then they went to college and they did it. So that's a little bit different. There's a little bit different stamp for me. Fitz is different for me because I was Stockton and Malone. That's what we did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Fitz.
Side note, Fitz was in the shop that day too at Clyde's.
Oh, there you go. Shocker. Fitz, Lasicki, Antoine Hubbard. Then I'm gonna tie my young boy in because he's getting it done right now. Terrence Roderick.
Terrence is cold, boy.
Yeah, yep. And then I'm gonna throw in a Gabe Lewellis to finish it up.
Okay.
Gabe, well, you go backdoor and you beat UCLA on a backdoor cut. You got a stamp. You already got it done at Central Catholic. We know that already.
I'm with it. Now, I wouldn't be spitting with Spitter. At the end of my shows, I asked the guests if there's, because I did most of the talking, questions, whatever. Is there anything you want to ask me before we get out of here?
No, not. I thought you did a great job. I want to thank you for thinking of me. You know, when
Most definitely.
when I got the text, I was so excited, so thankful and blessed that you thought of me. So I want to say that first and foremost. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And no, I thought we summed it all up.
My God, B, I appreciate you to the utmost.
TJ, anytime, my friend. Anything you need, anytime.
My God, I'm gonna have to come out to that DMV and catch a game.
Please do. We got a mob. I think we have 3 McDonald's All-Americans on this team that we got.
Jeez.
Delaney Thomas. Remember these names. Delaney Thomas. Kendall Walker. And Carolee Barton.
Okay.
They will all be high majors. Delaney's already a top 15 player in the country. She's already stamped. Kendall was a freshman this year. She had already been offered by St. John's. And Carolee is a cannon herself. And they're one's a junior and two sophomores.
You follow boys high school ball at all?
I do. I'm blessed enough to be in the best league in the country. So, Hunter Dickinson from Michigan was in our league, and you can go up and down the board, man. We got a lot of hoopers. But why?
DeJuan Wagner's son.
You know what? I've heard a lot about him. Is he going to Louisville?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure where he's going. He is smooth.
Shout out Clark, the kid from Easton.
Aaron,
man, Anthony's son, man, what a stud he is. I remember him growing up. He was with my son, in the middle school and stuff. And Anthony's one of the greatest people in Easton. Anthony Clark, an amazing guy. Super excited for his son. I just got another offer from Creighton, man. And he's lefty. Once you're lefty, when you're lefty, man,
6'6", smooth
with everything. Yeah, everything. Yeah, so super excited for him.
Another kid too. He played for Roman Catholic, and then he transferred out of there. Jalen Duran.
I don't know Jalen. No, but my one of my college teammates used to be the head coach of Roman Catholic, Chris McNesby. Okay. I think they have a guy there now who's an alum, who's a stud. I think, but he took over from my guy. So my guy coached that kid at Penn State who was a stud. That just got done. I think he's in either the G League. Maybe Humphreys. I can't think of his name, but Roman Catholic's been bringing it up for a long, long time. Lynn Greer's son was at Roman Catholic and was a handful. I guess he probably played with your boy.
Yeah.
But my guy Mo Howard, man, whose son Ashley Howard is the head coach at LaSalle. Mo tries to keep me up to date with all the Philly guys, because Philly is one of the most underrated places in the country for basketball. Philly got hoopers that can go
for sure. Brennan, thank you, my guy. DJ, we're out of here. We're gonna have to do a part 2 to chop it up. I appreciate you.
Let me know.
Many blessings to you and your family. I hope you have a good night.
You do the same, my friend.
Spin with Spitter, and we are out of here, man. Have a good evening, yo.
You too, bud.